If I told you that one of God's most powerful prophets begged to die, would that shake your faith or strengthen it? Because everything you've been told might not be the full story. They told you that if God is with you, you'll always be strong. They told you that if your prayers work, your life will make sense. They told you that if you see miracles, you won't fall apart. But Elijah saw fire fall from heaven and still asked God to end his life. So here's the real question. What if your lowest moment is not a sign that God has left you, but proof that you've been carrying more than you were meant to? Israel was not just lost. They were comfortable being lost. Truth had become flexible. Conviction had become optional. And God had become negotiable. This didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, dangerously, until a king named Ahab sat on the throne. A man who didn't just tolerate evil, he partnered with it. And then came Jezebel. She didn't come to rule. She came to erase God. Prophets were hunted. Altars were destroyed. Truth was buried under fear. And the people, they adjusted. Let me ask you something. How long does it take for wrong to start feeling normal? Then suddenly, Elijah appeared. No background story. No introduction. No warning. Just a man standing before a king saying, "As the Lord lives, there will be no rain except by my word." And just like that, the sky shut. No clouds. No rain. No mercy. One man spoke, and nature obeyed. But don't miss this. Elijah didn't speak with power because he was bold. He spoke with power because he had already been broken. In the presence of God, there's a difference. After confronting a king, God hid him. That part is uncomfortable because we expect elevation after obedience. But God sent him to a brook, alone. No audience. No recognition. No applause. Just silence and survival. And then God used ravens to feed him. Let that sink in. The man who shut the heavens was now waiting on birds to eat. What kind of God does that? The kind that refuses to let power replace dependence. Because if God didn't humble him, success would have destroyed him. Then the brook dried up. And here's where it gets real. The same prophecy Elijah released started affecting him too. So let's correct a dangerous belief. Just because God is using you doesn't mean life will be easy for you. Sometimes you will feel the weight of the very thing you were sent to address. Then God sent him to a widow, not just poor finished. One last meal, one final moment before death. And Elijah said something almost offensive. "Feed me first." Think about that. A man of God asking a starving woman to give him her last food? Does that even sound right? And yet, that's exactly where the miracle started. Because faith is not proven when you have plenty. It is proven when obedience doesn't make sense. The food didn't run out. Day after day, just enough. Not abundance, not overflow, just enough. But then, her son died, right there, in the middle of a miracle. So let's talk honestly. What do you do when God is providing, but something still breaks? Because that's where many people lose their faith. Not in lack, but in confusion. Even Elijah didn't understand it. He cried out, questioned God, felt the tension, and still, God responded. Life returned, but something changed. Faith went deeper, not because everything worked out, but because God showed up in the middle of pain. Then came Mount Carmel, the showdown, 850 prophets versus one man, a nation watching. And Elijah said, "The God who answers by fire, let him be God." They shouted, they danced, they bled. Nothing happened. Because noise is not power. Then Elijah stepped forward, soaked the altar, drenched the sacrifice, made it impossible, and prayed one simple prayer. Fire fell, not partially, completely. The people screamed, "The Lord, He is God." Victory, clear, undeniable, final. Or so it seemed, because right after that, everything fell apart. Jezebel sent a message, "You're next," and Elijah ran. Wait, let's not rush past that. The man who just called down fire ran from a message. No sword, no army, just words. And it broke him. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Spiritual highs don't cancel human limits. You can win publicly and still collapse privately. You can be powerful in one moment and empty in the next. Elijah sat under a tree and said something many believers are afraid to admit. It is enough Take my life. He wasn't doubting God. He was doubting the impact of his obedience. Because after everything, nothing seemed to change. Ahab was still king. Jezebel was still in power. The people were still unstable. And Elijah thought, what was the point? Have you ever been there, where you did everything right, and still felt like it didn't matter? Now watch God carefully. He didn't correct him. He didn't rebuke him. He didn't preach to him. He fed him. Let him sleep. Woke him up. Fed him again. Because sometimes, you don't need a word from God. You need restoration from God. Then came the mountain. Wind. God wasn't in it. Earthquake. God wasn't in it. Fire. God wasn't in it. Then, a whisper, and Elijah recognized him. Because real intimacy is not built in noise, it is built in stillness. Then God said something that shattered Elijah's mindset. You are not the only one. 7,000 others were still faithful. Hidden, unseen, uncelebrated, but real. So let me ask you, what if your biggest lie right now is thinking you are alone? God gave him new instructions, new direction, new purpose, because Elijah's story didn't end in the wilderness, and neither will yours. Years later, the man who asked to die did not die. He was taken up in glory, escorted by fire. The same fire that once proved God's power, now proved God's faithfulness. So hear this clearly. Your breakdown is not failure. Your exhaustion is not weakness. Your silence is not abandonment. It might just be God changing how he speaks to you. Say this with me. I am not alone. God is not finished with me. Even in silence, he is still working. Father, for the one who feels tired, restore them. For the one who feels alone, reveal yourself. For the one who feels like giving up, give them strength again. Speak, even if it's in a whisper. If this stirred something in you, stay connected to Minute with God. Because sometimes, the voice you almost missed is the one that changes everything.